And we are back. Welcome. We have some few questions today, not as many, but we're going to go deeper and we're going to really explore some fascinating things. And before we get into that, I want to mention that I have a webinar coming up where we're going to do live questions. So you can do personal questions. I'm going to be channeling live with you guys. So you can ask, things you're curious about or even like personal stuff. The past few times that we've done that, it's been a really like intimate setting and quite warm and like, how do I explain this? It's been like warm and like a friendly setting. We got into some like both deep questions, more emotional stuff, but also like some out of curiosity, we explored some mysteries and stuff. I don't feel like I'm doing it justice, but I have one of those webinars coming up in a few weeks. So when I'm back from my Turkey trip, I'm going to be doing that. And the information, the dates, and everything is in the description box. It's $29. So if you've considered like a personal consultation, but don't have that many questions, and don't have, if you just have like a question or two that you want to get help with, this is the best option because it's a lot cheaper than a personal consultation, and it's a fun time. I personally enjoyed it last time, and it was like we really bonded. The everyone who joined, you know who you are. There was like, yeah, there's some. I'm sorry, I'm tired today. I didn't sleep well, and so um, my thinking is really off. But that's all the better for the channeling because that's when my mind needs to be off. So all the better. Then we also have an option for the channeling course. It is $149 for for about a week, I believe. And so if you want to learn to channel, if you want to learn to do what I do, if you want to do it for yourself, or you want to do it professionally, if you want to do it for your friends, or you're just curious, if you want to find out where your boyfriend was, this is the course for you. A lot of people start channeling that way. Um, yeah, and if you're interested in a personal consultation, we now have the option of doing a one-on-one video consultation or one-on-one voice call. That option wasn't available before because in terms of booking times, health-wise, I wasn't able to. Now I am able to. So if you need support in a more in-depth way, if you need more of a um, guidance in terms of your life in general, if you feel stuck or you want to make sure that you're on the right track with your purpose, or if you have some challenging situations you're dealing with, then a personal consultation might be for you. So now we have that option. And it is time. Bahar, you want to come in?
Hello.
Hey. Okay, so should we explain to people what happened last? Because everyone was like, "I hope you're
Yes.
fine." Yeah.
Oh, thank
What happened?
What happened? Yeah. So basically, what happened was life, and just pretty annoying and
Yeah.
boring. What happened, but
Yeah.
um,
Nothing major. That's good.
thank you. Nothing major. Thank you for those
Yeah.
really cute, warm comments. I was so happy to read all of them.
Yeah.
But basically what happened is since I'm that I'm moving to the US soon, and I'm moving out of my
Yeah.
apartment, and now that I'm moving out, I realized that one of my keys was missing from the set of
Yeah.
keys I initially got. And so, right when we were about to start the video, one of my ex schoolmates, like who I went to school with, and she used to live here for a semester when I was abroad. She called me and she was like, "Oh, like that key." She like remembered the time when she lived here. She locked herself out
Mm.
and got a second of my keys. A spare one from my friend, and she basically lost one of them, and it was a whole thing that she had to
Yeah.
remember where she lost it and all of that. So it was a
Yeah.
very uh, a phone call that came out of the blue, and I was like
Yeah.
um, so wrapped into it that I just lost time. And then when I hung up, I was like, damn, like, oh, I forgot like the
I'm
time.
sure
And
there was a purpose for why that happened.
yeah,
First of all,
I'm
we're all
sure.
glad that you're fine because my first thing was like, as long as you're fine, it was nothing,
Oh,
nothing
yeah.
serious. It's good. But also, maybe the purpose was for us to do this video because we're going to talk to the time traveler, right? So, and I know a
Yeah.
lot of people were really curious about that. So maybe the purpose was for us to do this video because if you were with us last week, then maybe we would have just gone straight past the time traveler thing. We would have just done a little bit and not maybe, I don't know. Who knows?
Who knows what spirit is doing in the background?
Exactly. That's the fun part. You never know. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that we never know. I love that it's so unpredictable.
But I always trust that
Yeah.
there is a purpose
Yeah.
for everything. So yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm happy to be here and I'm so excited to talk
Yeah.
to the time traveler. And also our second topic will be very interesting, I think. So stay tuned.
Yeah. Also, we want to say to people, we were looking through the questions. There wasn't that much there because I think, I mean, I appreciate everyone was really helpful in coming with questions about Göbekli Tepe and my upcoming trip and the research I'm going to be doing there. I so love that and appreciate that, and I want more questions on that. So keep it coming. But we also want more channeling questions. But now that I'm saying that, I actually want to mention to people that since I am going away, I'm going away for 2 weeks, doing some research, and so the timing of the channeling videos might be off. We don't know exactly. Going to try to publish a video as usual, but it might not be in the same format, might not be in the same time, might not be the same length, whatever. I don't know. We don't know. So 2 weeks
Yeah.
is going to be a little, yeah, we're going to see what's going to happen.
Exactly. We'll go with the
But I'm
flow.
sure, I hope you guys stick with us. I'll be back after 2 weeks anyway. So yeah, just some info on that. I think, well, I feel ready. How do you feel, Bahar?
I feel super ready and excited.
Okay.
Let's do
Okay.
this.
Oh, let's do it. Okay.
Okay.
Uh, hmm.
Okay. So let's talk to this time traveler dude. Can we talk to you?
Hmm. He's not feeling great.
Oh, okay. How come?
He feels a little isolated. Nobody understands him. It's just the pressure gets a bit much sometimes.
Mm.
He's a very intellectual person. He's not an emotional person, but sometimes it just gets too much. So he's used to handling pressure, but it's just a little, it's been going on for a while now. He gets a little,
Mm.
um, he could really use some emotional support and some, close ones and loved ones. He doesn't really have family
Mm.
here.
And what kind of pressure are you under? Is it related to your work, to your research?
He's just stressed about the fact that he can't, he feels, let me try and let me see if he can speak through my voice.
Mhm.
Okay, can you repeat that? I'll let him speak through my
Yeah.
voice.
What are you stressed about? Is it related to your research?
I feel sad.
Why? Why do you feel sad?
I just, I've just been focused on my, my task, my work, and I miss my girlfriend.
Mm.
I miss my mother, and I can never reach them from here. They're not around anymore. even if they were, I'm not sure that I could find them, or even if I could, I'm not sure if I could approach them, and they would be a lot older. I don't believe my mother is still alive, but even if my girlfriend was still alive, she would be very old and she would have moved on. She would have probably be married.
Mm-hmm.
So it gets very lonely. I feel very lonely, but I don't usually talk about that.
Well, you're welcome to talk to me about it, and I'm giving you a spiritual hug right now. um,
Thank you. It's something. It
yeah. But
it eases it.
what if you go back to your time, to 1947? Will you will you be the same age as you were when you left?
It's very risky. I could attempt to go back, but there's a high likelihood that it won't succeed.
Mm.
And it's very unknown what kind of results I would have. I could end up somewhere else. I could end up someplace in between. I could may not make it all the way through to another time.
Mm.
I might be stuck in some kind of middle place. It's very unknown what results I might have.
So, have you only been successful in time traveling once when you came here?
Yes, my team and I have made many attempts, but I wasn't on those attempts, and so I don't know whether they were successful or not.
Mm.
I was on this one and this one was successful, but I cannot know if the other attempts were successful as well. So I had colleagues that also time traveled or were sent away and who didn't come back.
I see. And did your body age when you came here?
No, I was just the same, and that was the success of the attempt.
Mm. I see. So, how does the process of time traveling work? Can you explain it to us from your scientific point of view?
Much of it would to you seem supernatural or magical because much of it is still unknown to the masses in terms of physical laws. Much of the physical laws that we are aligning with or making use of in this research are unknown to the masses of people. If I was to describe how we do it, it would sound like a magic trick to you. It would sound like a fairy tale. But what most people don't know is that it's very real. Much of what is considered magic has a physical explanation, a scientific explanation, and is possible following physical laws.
Do you follow? Sorry.
People just have not been told of these physical laws. So they believe some things are magic based on the fact that they just don't know about some physical laws.
Does it involve the physical laws of quantum physics?
Yes.
And does it somehow involve wormholes?
No.
Okay, no wormholes or
not directly.
I see. So you did mention that you are using a specific kind of device, right? Can
This device manipulates it manipulates my external reality.
Mhm.
Sorry, I'm struggling to understand. I'm just trying to understand. This is me channel, just trying to understand.
Yeah.
This device can identify the coordinates of time. And so there is a mental connection because I, as the traveler, have to align with those coordinates. And so there is a mental connection. This device and it's not taking me somewhere, it is showing me the coordinates so that I can mentally align with the coordinates. And it stabilizes that because on my own, if I was to be shown the coordinates, although not that I'm seeing them, I am feeling them mentally. Without the device, I may lose that, and so it wouldn't be stable on its own. Although in theory it is possible for us to do this on our own, but the device stabilizes that, holds that coordinate strong, and so I can align in a clear, pure way with this coordinate of the time that I am going to. We have
Wow.
experimented doing this with space as well. And so we have sent a colleague to a different place coordinate, such as we have sent them to a different part of the world. And they did go, but we are not sure that they arrived.
So so you are not actually physically moving then. What you are doing is just manipulating the space-time that is around you through your mind, and this device is helping you by stabilizing that vision or that manipulation.
Yes, although I am not actually manipulating the actual surroundings, I am aligning with the coordinates of a different surrounding. And
Wow.
so my surroundings change, although the surroundings did not change. I tapped into a different surrounding. And so I was moved to a different surrounding. I was no longer a match to where I was. And I
Yeah.
ended up where I was a match.
Wow, that is so interesting. And is this process, how does this process look like for you? Is it similar to visualization?
It is highly focused. It is it requires a great deal of mental energy.
Mhm.
it takes a lot of practice because your focus needs to be complete, needs to be completely undivided. And it takes some practice to get there. What usually does go wrong is if there is not a complete alignment, then the experiment will fail. That is usually the problem. And so we practice to get to a point where we are able to maintain a clear focus on, we have to completely and utterly align with this new place that we are going. And we have to, with everything that we are, completely align with being there. We cannot see it as, I wish I was there.
Mm-hmm.
You have to mentally be there. It is hard to describe because words can be misleading,
Mm-hmm.
but you are doing this in your mind. The device really helps the mind. The device doesn't move you there. It helps your mind achieve that clarity that you need.
Wow, so it's very similar to the law of attraction. You are basically aligning your frequency with where you want to be.
The law of attraction is a popular way of expressing physical laws. There seems in your culture to be a distinction between the spiritual law of attraction and physical laws of nature, whereas they are one and the same, only the law of attraction has been popularized so that people can use it for their own benefit in their daily lives. But it really describes a law of nature.
Mm-hmm.
It really describes how, if you really listen to it, it describes our reality, and that there is no firm, established external reality. It is all illusory in a sense. It is all made up. It is not tangible.
Mm-hmm.
You experience it as tangible. It is not. It is all illusion. And so for you to not be able to imagine this illusion to be something different is madness. If you know the facts, it is like being in a dream. Would you say in your dream, where you are imagining everything, that it would be impossible for you to live in a castle, be in love, and be happy, and have a family, and have all of the things that you might wish for? Would you say in your dream, where you know you are imagining it, where you know it is all from your imagination, would you say that anything is really impossible? No, you just imagine what you would like to see and you create it and you experience the feeling of it. And your daily reality, your awaking reality, is really the same. It is actually the same. You experience it as tangible because of how your brain is set up. And so your brain is programmed to experience reality as firm. That's why you must stay away from psychedelic substances, because they will show you the reality of things. They will bypass the brain's programming. The brain's programming will relax, and you will, for once, see things as they truly are, fluid.
Isn't that liberating though?
Absolutely, we were being ironic. Of course, you must enjoy seeing things for how wonderful they are. But we wanted to make a point as to how ridiculous it is that you must stay away from the very things that will show you truth. That you are so attached to this tangible illusion, which is uncomfortable for most of you anyway. While you hold on to this reality that is not really real, it's not comfortable, not that enjoyable, why do you hold on to it? Why not see it for what it truly is through the help of those natural aids that relax the programming in your mind and allows you to see things for what they are and allows you to take a greater part in this dream that we call life.
Mm. So, when you travel, do you keep all of your memory?
Yes. The only thing, if the preparation is thorough and correct, if you have done it well, then the only thing that changes is the time coordinates.
I see. Wow, okay. So, this is a little bit of a difficult question, but I'm interested to hear your point of view. So, if time doesn't exist and reality is fluid and we create everything around us, then what is death really? Is death real?
Of course, it's not real. It's it's a matter of what perspective you want to see it from. Nothing really changes. It is from I'm gonna answer this not as a time traveler because he doesn't. I feel like spirit wants to come through here. I feel like that would give more. So I'm gonna allow spirit to speak on this.
Mm.
From our point of view, death is just a shifting of perspective. It is just like going from one room to another. But from your point of view, and there's a purpose for your point of view. For you, it is a illusion again, but an illusion that feels very real. However, you are veiled from a lot of, from most of reality, and so to you it is real, but in the real sense, there is no death. Death is impossible. The only thing possible is change.
Mm.
It is a change.
So, what I'm getting from the time traveler and from spirit is that if we were to allow ourselves to be open enough and not so rigid in our perspective on reality, then we could
Your
go
life could flourish.
anywhere and experience anything we want.
If you were not so rigid about what was possible, if you did not so wholeheartedly believe that the world is limited, your options are limited, your possibilities are limited, if you didn't so wholeheartedly believe that your life could open up in so many ways without effort, if you were to only think less, even that would help you to bring in a lot more of the things that you want effortlessly, because a lot of the times, a lot of your thinking is along the lines of what you would like but can't have. And so we know that this is how you have heard it from those that teach you law of attraction, which is, of course, very important. They have played a very important role. But now that you are familiar with the idea of law of attraction, you must understand that it is about everything in your life. It really isn't any different to want something that will tangibly help your life in terms of something material or something that will make you more fulfilled emotionally. The main thing that holds you back is really your thinking. And most of you would be much happier and have a lot more blessings, we want to call them, in life if you were to just think less, if you worried less. You can do this by when there is something that you want, release that idea, think that you want it, and then release. Do not dwell on how you feel about not having it. Do not dwell on what ways it could come to you. Do not dwell on how on the your perceived limitations on how it could come into you. Just know that you want it and then go on with your life. Just turn it over to the intelligence that is the universe that is also within you, because your thinking is most of the time what holds you back. And so if you were to think less, you will find that your life will be more effortless. A lot of the things that you want will come into your life more synchronistically. The less you worry, the less things you will have to worry about.
So should we feel more instead? I feel like, do we create from our feelings?
Certainly you should flow with your feelings, but there are times when you have feelings around beliefs that you have. So you may have a perceived limitation and you might feel sadness around that limitation. For example, I feel sad because I wish I had this or that and I don't have this or that.
Mm.
So we don't encourage those emotions because they are based on a flawed premise. They are based on your insistence that something is not possible for you. We don't support that. You made that up. That limitation is not there. You made it up. You believe it, and now you are mourning it. And so we don't support that. But in general, yes, you should flow with your feelings and pursue positive ones. And we are sounding a lot like Abraham Hicks, but they do tell you the physical laws of your reality. They are describing the physical laws of your reality in a way that is applicable to you, in a way that is easy to use. They are describing physics.
Yeah. So I have a theory, and can you confirm whether this theory is based on truth? So my theory is that all emotions that we can possibly have are either based on fear or love, and only those emotions that are based in love are actually real, quote unquote, and all the other emotions that are based on fear or lack are just illusions that we make up for ourselves.
It is true that fear will be false or give you false information. So anything that has its root in fear will lead to thoughts or feelings that are flawed. If you have a belief based on a fear, you can be sure that that belief is false. It might be, there might be elements of it that has connection to reality, but the overall conclusion that is based on a fear will be flawed. So whenever you feel fear or you have a thought based on a fear, or you have a thought that leads you to a fear. For example, if I get close to them, they will abandon me. That will be based on a fear. Whenever you hear things like that in your mind, know that it is false. Not to say that this particular person may never be away from you, not to say that you're going to be together forever, but the reality of it will be greater, more complex. And what you are missing from that fearful place is that the love that you are really looking for can be there, whether that person is with you or not.
Yeah.
When you are fearful, you are reducing things to something negative, whereas the reality is always, if you really look for it, it's always loving. Even if things can be painful, you will always find love in there if you look for it. Even those most painful things, when you look, you will find the love in there. And so, yes, fear will lead to false conclusions. Whenever something makes you fearful, or whenever you have a thought that makes you fearful, know that it is not the full truth. Truth will give you peace, and it will be warming. If you don't have that, you don't have the full truth. If you don't have that, you don't have the full truth. However, being that you are human, you can be traumatized and things can trigger you. And so that would automatically lead to certain conclusions. You can't always help that. You are not always conscious of this. It happens automatically. Don't blame yourselves for it. It's perfectly understandable. But if you know that you are locked into such a thought loop where certain things trigger you and you have very ingrained fears about certain things, do know that this is a trick of the mind and it is not the truth. The truth will comfort you. And if it doesn't, it's not the whole truth.
But so even those most painful moments and all the trauma we go through is a part of love, isn't it? And it ultimately has a loving purpose for us. This is a lesson that I feel I've been learning.
Most of the things that are traumatic to you are due to someone having done something to you. This someone, just like you, is a human who wants and needs love, who may not have had it. All of you are in that position. And so, even the most horrific things that can happen to a person are usually done by a person who also needs love, who also wants to be cared for, who also needed nurture in their childhood, who also wants to experience romantic love from a partner, who also wants to experience unconditional acceptance. And so when you look for it, you will always, always, always find love.
So this may be a little bit of a triggering question, but is it true that our souls sometimes have even had this agreement before we incarnate that one of the souls will hurt the other in the human physical body so that they can heal and they can transmute that darkness and become stronger through it? Is that sometimes even something that both parties have agreed on prior to incarnating?
Yes, it's never an accident, and it is always for a purpose. If it happened and it was painful, there was a purpose.
Wow.
Painful things don't happen without a more valuable purpose.
Wow. Okay. So, Spirit, what is your take on the divine feminine versus the divine masculine energy?
They are energies that you can choose to tap into. You have access to feminine and masculine and neutral or androgynous or intellectual, mental energy. You have access to those three: father, mother, child, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. You have access to all three, and so you can choose. Some of you love to be in the masculine energy. You feel good, you feel a sensual pleasure out of being in the masculine energy, and so it's for you to enjoy. Some of you feel a gentle, warm, loving feeling out of the feminine energy. Some of you feel a strong sensuality and appreciation for the self in the feminine energy. It is a quiet and laid back energy, and so it is for you to enjoy. Some of you feel more at home in the mental space with ideas, less connected to the physicality or perceived physicality of your bodies. Some of you feel more at home in the limitless space of the mental energy. And so that is for you to enjoy. Most of you can derive pleasure from all of those at different times, in different settings. They are pleasurable. You are free to enjoy them as you wish. You have a lot of rules around who should enjoy what and where they should enjoy it. And you have these ridiculous notions of what is an appropriate use of masculine energy, where it should be used, and who should use it, and the feminine energy about who should use it and who should get pleasure out of it and who should not. Some people are not allowed to derive pleasure from the feminine energy. And so you set these ridiculous rules for yourself when they are all there for you all to enjoy. You also have this ridiculous grading system where one is more valuable than the other, where there is blue and red. Which one is more valuable? And you assign a value to various aspects of nature. Would you say that blue is valuable and red is not, or red is valuable and blue is not? Can you imagine? Well, it's so ironic that this is how your politics play out, but it's very appropriate because this illustrates also how, even in politics, there is different perspectives, different aspects of reality, that both are valid and both are just a preference. Neither one is higher or lower than the other. Why are they arguing? Many of you agree with both to some extent or at different times. You don't have to identify with only one. You don't have to be only left or right, only blue or red, or only masculine or feminine. You can enjoy the whole buffet, the whole buffet, but don't judge how someone else picks from the buffet. If a woman wants to be feminine, she can be that. That is fine. It does not mean that she wants oppression. It just means the feminine energy feels good to her. You are so used to grading things and people that you cannot imagine a world where both would be valuable equally. Being a man and being a woman would both be valuable and appreciated. You cannot imagine that you can love femininity and feminine energy without without a, without putting down the masculine or devaluing the masculine. You can appreciate both, and you can prefer one at one time and another at a different time, or you can prefer one for yourself and the other for your partner, or you can prefer that both you and a partner pick just one side, or, as is usually the case, you would prefer some balance because you do prefer to have all of it in your life one way or the other. Maybe you embody both the masculine, feminine, as well as the intellectual because you are all intellectual. Maybe you embody both of those, the masculine and feminine, in yourself, and so you want a partner who is similar. Or you enjoy the feminine and you want a partner to provide the balance of the masculine for you. However you want to do it, you do it, but you do tend to find that you want to include all of it in your life, whether you do it within yourself or through the people around you. You are so attached to the idea of grading these that when you discuss these matters amongst each other, you lose sight of the topic because you attach so many other unrelated things to these. To you, when you talk of masculinity, you almost every time attach to that notion abusive behavior or oppressive behavior, toxicity. You cannot imagine a masculinity that is not oppressive or toxic, just strong and stable and attractive. Cannot imagine masculinity just being wonderful, purely masculine, and wonderful in every way. You cannot imagine that without attaching negative things to it and grading it as better or worse than. And you cannot imagine a femininity that is truly feminine without also attaching to it a lot of objectification, oppressed behavior, overcompensation, and a lot of superficial stuff. You're attaching a lot of superficial things to femininity. You lose sight of what is truly feminine in essence and attach instead things like what shoes go with femininity, or makeup, or dress. These things have nothing to do with feminine energy.
Yeah.
They are superficial. They have to do with your culture rather than femininity. You do not see in nature the feminine plant wearing high heels. You do not see that a female bear has to put on makeup and grow her hair to be considered a female. She is natural. She's a female. And so you humans are attaching all of these other unrelated things, and you feel madly, crazily, you feel that without these trinkets, heels, and things, that you are not feminine. Whereas the feminine is an energy, it is not a shoe.
So, can we talk about the female, masculine, and mental energy? Because to me, this is also new because and I think many people associate the mental energy with the masculine and the emotional, intuitive nature with the feminine. What is your take on that, Spirit?
Yes, that is one of those things that you're attaching to masculine energy. And masculine energy in its purest form is not mental, because to you, in your culture, the norm is masculine, being that everybody has a mental aspect to them, being that everybody's human.
Mm-hmm.
What is human, what is common for all, is considered masculine. So the masculine is accepted as the norm, that which applies to everybody, but it's not. Yes, as human beings, you are mental and you have both. That is common for everybody, but the masculine energy has a specific feel to it that can either be there or not. It's usually there in everybody in one way or another, to some extent, to a lesser or greater extent, but the mental energy is separate. So the masculine energy is not as neutral as you tend to view it. Neutrality in the intellectual sense is separate. It's a separate energy, although, of course, nothing is separate, but it is a different energy altogether.
Wow, that is so illuminating for me. So, Spirit, can you help us understand true divine masculinity? Because I think our culture has gotten it all wrong. What is masculinity in its essence about?
The big spoon. Masculinity is the container. It is the glass the that contains the structure. Masculinity is that feeling when you enjoy being the container of something, of making the house or buying the house. It is it embraces, it is about shining in your individuality, your personal leadership, your it is that energy that says, I want to make waves. I want to assert my presence. I want to take up space. Mind you, None of that means that nobody else is allowed to take up space. It does not mean I'm having to step on anybody to take up space. It just means I am willing to be seen. I want to be seen. I want to express that which I am. And so it is the one out of the one and the zero, the manifested. The masculine will show itself, not in an arrogant way, mind you. I have to be very clear because you associate a lot of unrelated things to masculinity. But it is that which cares by, think of curling. Masculinity is that sweeping motion that paves the way for the puck or the puck thingy. Masculinity is that sweeping motion. It prepares the way. It builds the house. It prepares the way. It contains. Femininity, on the other hand, is what fills up the house. It's what gives the house substance. It makes it a home. Femininity is being at peace with relaxing. It is not, it is more, it is passive. It is passive but not empty, mind you. There is a lot of, so the woman or the feminine gives the meaning, gives the substance, gives the value to the internal part. If the man is the vessel, the woman is the substance inside that makes the vessel useful. And so she brings the meaning. She is the zero out of the one and the zero. She is fluid, but also unlimited. She is unmanifested, but she is all potential. And so the masculine gives her structure, and she gives warmth and meaning, among many other things. But you are familiar with masculinity and femininity from an astrological point of view, but in its pure form, the one and the zero is very to the point. Both serve a function, both are valuable, they both need each other. They are inseparable, really. You have both within you. They are not different in value. And neither of them have any intrinsic toxicity. Any toxicity has other reasons, has other causes. It's not the femininity or masculinity in itself that is toxic. Toxicity comes from other sources because of other reasons.
Oh, that is so beautiful. So, can you describe the duality of masculinity and femininity to us? Is it comparable to the yin and yang symbol, as in both contain a little part of the other within themselves?
Yes, with the yin and yang symbol, you will find that it is a circle that contains both. And so you are all, in a sense, like that. You both have the yin and the yang. And within your yin, there is yang. And within your yang, there is yin. So you all have that. And Everything in nature is set up that way. And if you are more heavy on the yin, you might prefer to be around people that are yang, and vice versa. None of that is toxic in itself. And from our point of view, it really doesn't matter what sex you are, what biological sex you are. You will have an open buffet, however you choose to use it. However, there is nothing wrong with also preferring to be quite stereotypical, being a male or female that prefer the feminine if you're a female, or masculine if you're a male, because even in those cases, even if you are a feminine female or a masculine male, even in those cases, you will express and enjoy the opposite energy within yourself in certain times. So you are always dual anyway. It's just a matter of what feels good to you. And so we don't value them differently. And so it really doesn't matter. And if you are, we know that to you it's very radical if one is, for example, a male who enjoys the feminine energy. To us, there is no such distinction because there isn't really a clear cut border there anyway. Everything is kind of fluid. And so it is kind of like saying, are you hot water or are you cold water? If you are water, you will sometimes be hot and sometimes be cold.
Mm.
And if you are in a cold environment, you will turn cold. And if you are in a hot environment, you will turn hot. There isn't such a clear, distinct border anyway. And so to us, it really makes no difference. And so, whatever feels good to you, that is all you need to worry about. We really do not understand why you have so many ideologies that you need to use in order to just feel right about what you prefer or what other people prefer.
Yeah.
We do not understand this intellectual involvement in what is supposedly right. Whatever you feel like doing, that's what you can do. And it is also ridiculous to us that your natural desire to enjoy the feminine or masculine energy, regardless of your sex, biological sex, that you should have any kind of judgment or thoughts around it. It makes no sense. If you enjoy swimming in the water, why have an ideology that says when swimming in the water is appropriate, who should be doing it, and why they should be doing it if it feels good to you, which is supposed to, it's supposed to feel good to you. Both masculine and feminine energy feels good to all of you to a greater or lesser extent. Why have all these ideas around how to do it, where to do it, who should be doing it, and who should not be doing it, and what is progressive to be doing, and what is old fashioned to be doing, or what is sinful to be doing, or what is all of that is mental noise that you have just made up.
Mm.
You have made up for no reason.
So I feel like that a big reason for that could be that we are mixing up divine for me to realize that
Sorry, I
mental
lost you there for a
energy and
moment.
intellectual energy is separate from both feminine and masculine energy, because I think this is a big wound of our society that we associate this with the masculine, and because it
It is
puts
an
a
expression of
different
your dysfunction.
value on the masculine energy versus the feminine, and it decredits the feminine in terms of not
It is
being
a
able to be intellectual.
it is an expression of your dysfunction as a society. You hold the masculine up to be more valuable while also acknowledging that it is in your society, in your expression of it, very